Welcome everyone, and welcome little one. We're here for another Tuesday night show and share. So welcome all. I want to just start it right off with Brian and a sighting share. Hopefully we might have a helper too.
Hey guys, got the child here again, just in case any of these knobs need to get turned. You're welcome, Billy. I bet they are. So I've been redoing my garage for the last few weeks, and the impetus for this is my garage looks terrible because it needed to be resided like 30 years ago, and it's still here. And also it's getting colder, and every summer I bring my plants outside and they get bigger, and my house stays the same size. You want down? Okay. You go over that way though. No, you immediately. No, okay. You're gonna come back up. Wee. So let me pull this up. I'm really bad at taking before pictures. But yeah, you can see it. You can see these tiny little windows. That's just not going to do, and you can see all like the rotten bits that also need to go. And so one of my goals with doing this is knowing that I'm on child duty like too much of the time to really take on a project like this. I wanted the outside of the house or outside of the building to not look like it was under construction, I guess for as long as possible. So when I started framing up for my windows, I framed them out from the inside with all the siding still on. So you can see I'm dropping in my headers. I have my temporary wall holding up the roof and everything like that. Trying to figure out how to use my own phone. So only last minute did I actually have to open the thing up so you can see the big windows going in. So it's going to work out to be like 35 feet of windows that actually wrap all the way around the corner. So it should be really good light when I get them in there. And at some point, I'll show you the windows that I'm making, because those are probably more interesting than this, because I'm really up here just to rant about building materials just a little bit. But this gives you kind of an idea of like what I'm doing. So I'm going to reside this with hardy board, and the idea behind using hardy board is I need to reside my house also, and then I also need to reside the house across the street. So I've never worked with hardy before, so I figured I would make all my mistakes on this building that I'm not living in. So it's recommended to install hardy board with a air barrier behind it. So that's the Tyvek that you see that says Everbuilt on it, and then an air. Nope, don't you dare. And then you're supposed to use an air gap behind it. So the idea being, if any liquid water gets past your siding, it has this air gap that allows it to dry out, and then the vapor barrier there allows for non-liquid water to pass through so the building can still breathe. So herein lies the problem. No, okay. So fast. So their recommended layup is a starter strip. Let's see. Let me zoom in on this. Oh, I don't even know how to use this thing. Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah. Okay, so at the bottom of your furring strips, you need to have something to keep bugs from just climbing up and filling that air gap just full of things. Okay, in a minute. And I can tell you that is important, because when I pulled the old stuff down, it was nothing but poop. It was just feces, the entire thing just raining down on my face, and that was like 2 days of my life. So I'm trying to avoid that happening again. So I chased down, this is a material called Bug Shield, this, the black stuff that you see there. It's like a corrugated plastic that has a mesh on top and bottom, so nothing can crawl through it, but if there's any water, it would go straight through it. So conveniently, they make that stuff at exactly 3/4 of an inch, which is the same size that your furring strips are. Now, this is the problem I have with hardy. So hardy boards are 5/16 of an inch thick. They require you to have a starter strip so the bottom one doesn't sit flat, so it kicks out the same as all the rest of them. But no one makes starter strips. So they just expect you to buy all of this siding and then have to make your own. Like everyone in the world is having to figure this all out at their, like the same time by themselves. I just think that's stupid. So everyone has to use this bug shield also, and they don't make the bug shield at a nominal thickness that would include the starter strip. Is anyone else like just frustrated by this? They do make one that's the correct thickness, but it's only for soffit, and it's just completely wrong. So I'm just upset. I came up here to tell you, I'm just annoyed by it. And Arna's annoyed by it too, and you guys just needed to know. But here it is. My garage is not done yet, but it's getting there. You can see, I think it looks really fine. It comes pre-primed in yellow. And I think it looks pretty good in yellow, but it has to get painted white because painting white over yellow is just a dream. I've also, this is the other thing that I'm annoyed about. So if you do the stack up with your air barrier and the siding and everything like that, not a single person in this world makes the trim for that. Because the trim has to be like over 1.5 inches thick. So you have to make your own. So anyway, I made all my own trim. It is teak and it is absolutely lovely. I'll do another thing on that later at some, nope, don't you dare. So anyway, so I'm just having to like figure all this stuff out on the way, and it's been just a joy. But anyways, that's my project. Thanks for hearing me rant.
No, hopefully that was the tweak that was needed. Thank you, Arnie, for bringing us a little extra entertainment. Let's go ahead and stick with wood, and we're going to go to wood carving and a wood spirit with Bill Cressy.
Hopefully this will be seen. So anyway, this is a piece of eastern red cedar. The story behind it is it was in a friend's yard in Missouri. Oh, the cedar was in a friend's yard in Missouri, and the wind took it out. And so he brought it to me, and I can't stand to throw anything away. So everything that should be burned usually does not get burned until it's like a little tiny little piece. So anyway, the carving is done with the mallet and chisels, so no power tools on this one. And then a few hand tools that don't get driven by the mallet. And so this was done this week. And then the base is walnut. I've got an overabundance of walnut, and so some of it scrap, some of it not. And so I just made the base so it could stand up. It hangs on a wall or on the base, either way. And on the base itself, I've laser engraved there's a legend of the wood spirit. So if you look it up, all kinds of peoples, the Celts, the Germans, people from all over the world claim that the wood spirit is part of their culture. And from what I've been able to find out, the majority of it's probably originated in Black Forest of Germany. And it's the spirits of the wood. If you knock on wood, that's to cause the spirits not to do shenanigans and not to tear things up and do mean, ornery things. And so that's part of the spirit of the legend of the wood spirit. And so this is one of the things that I do for fun. But, oh, how long did it take? That's the other question. The base itself took maybe an hour-ish. The carving itself, I really procrastinated and got sidetracked with so many others, but probably 3 or 4 hours, maybe 5 at the most. And so once you've made a couple 300 of these wood spirit faces, they go really fast. So the more you do, the faster you get. And so there's really kind of a routine. I also do some that's called cottonwood bark. So it's just the bark of the tree. And it's kind of like chopping on warm butter. And so when I do the wood spirits in the cottonwood bark, it takes about a half an hour, maybe 40 minutes tops, to put a face in it. So.
How much planning does it go? Do you put a lot of planning into what the face is going to look like, or does it kind of evolve as you're doing it?
Yes, it evolves as you go.
Okay.
So much of the wood, because I'm using found wood, oftentimes if you're using the bark, there's a cavity or a hole underneath you don't know about. I've had spirits with cleft lips. I've had wood spirits where the eyeball fell out on one of the eyes. It was the eeriest, most scariest things ever, and it was like the first thing that I ever sold at a show. It just went like that because it was weird. It was just so bizarre. And so when you get into the carving, you just never know. Rule of thumb when doing faces, if you're drawing or carving, 5 eyes wide, 5 noses tall. As long as you keep those proportions, you can exaggerate or do anything else. But you really, if you're going to do a face, you want to keep the 5 eyes wide and 5 noses tall. I can force a face into almost anything that's wood. I do pencils. I mean, little number 2 pencils, we can put a face in a pencil. And it's really cool. Oh, it's cool. And so it's just amazing how I'm one of the new trial members. I really plan on staying along if you keep me here. But as I continue on through, I plan on bringing carving stuff to work on Tuesday nights or whatever. So if you see me with a little wooden box, come say hi, and we can talk about whatever. This truly is roached out. It was broken. It's just a D-ring with a screw in it. But if you look here, I did not smooth out. I did not finish off the back. I left it all mangled and nasty and horrible because that takes time. Yeah, this has a magic formula of Watco wax clear mixed with Danish oil dark. Watco wax used to make a dark finish and Rust-Oleum bottom, and they quit. And so now you have to make your own if you want to use that particular finish. A lot of my wood that I work with now, I finish with teak oil or tung oil. I'm kind of gravitating away from the traditional poly this or acrylic that or whatever. And I'm starting to go more and more with the teak oil or the tung oil. You catch me afterwards, you can feel the waxiness to the finish. I mean, it really, anything that's in wood, I really feel like you need to pick it up, hold it, roll it around, and touch it to feel and appreciate what's going on. So I have no problem with that. If you drop it, it's just wood, no big deal. Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. And just in case you haven't noticed, Russell isn't here tonight. So maybe you're here in spirit, Russell, and you can tell your spirit's here. He said how long it took him. Yes. So next up, I have Keith with the bicycle fork lamp. Maybe it's the best time to have it.
Oh, hello. Yeah, it's a lamp I wanted to bring in. A cousin of mine just finished his basement and wanted a lamp, and was been kind of on a kick of making stuff that isn't flowers for a while, so this was kind of a cool time to slide this into the mix. Base is some turned walnut I had, and then the kind of spires oak, and then walnut again. I can't recall what the middle piece was. I wish I would remember because I don't ever want to try to turn it again. It just like looked like suede when I was done turning it. There wasn't like a smooth bit on it at all. I almost like had like a fabric vibe. I had to run like every bit of sandpaper grit I had to get it to actually look like wood again when I was done turning it. Real soft too, which I mean made it kind of go rapidly, but I probably lost maybe 3 millimeters of it sanding. You know what I mean? It just was kind of like just inching away, but it still looks fine. But it just was a huge amount of time wrapped up in that. Fork was cool. There was one that was misshapen out of the box. I was able to like use a jig to get the legs back centered again, but it was already replaced under warranty, so I was able to kind of get a really nice painted fork. No combat damage on this one at all. So it had a nice clean aesthetic that hopefully kind of matches the vibe. He was kind of doing like a speakeasy down there, so I was trying to, wanted something kind of in like that steampunk vibe. This is kind of about the closest I could conjure with what was going on in my head at the time. Yeah, and the base is kind of a large mountain bike cassette, and then just a few kind of cogs spread in between. And then I don't suppose you'll probably hear this, but this was some excessive slack from a drain snake that I bought because someone in my house decided they would chuck a pork chop in the toilet to dispose of it. So like I had to kind of really hammer into that thing, and then it was probably like a 15-foot snake. So I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool material, so I could probably do something kind of rad with it. And I was like, yes, he wanted tubing and piping and stuff on his lamp, so that might just slide right onto the front of it there. But yeah, so thank you so much. Then we go. Oh, sorry, questions all? Oh, yeah, because it just says like an Edison bulb, so it's kind of like that kind of amber light. I just kind of gravitate to these for the most part because I don't generally put shades on them when I offer them out. So it's something you can look at without kind of really blowing your eyes apart. Oh yes. Actually, I never really checked to see if it works. Okay, it does work. Cool. Yeah. So usually I fire them up first because it's not like a too high end of a lamp kit that I get for most of these. Just kind of keep the production values at a minimum. But I'm sorry.
Harvest your snake cord before or after?
Oh, after. Yeah. This is my cousin, so I'm like, yeah, get you. I remember childhood. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, that thing. I wiped it down a little bit. I was touching it, so I wanted to keep it a little kind of, didn't want to start some kind of plague in Cincinnati when I brought it up to give it to him. Awesome. Not too bad. This was the only time suck, and even that was probably still an hour and some change. Yes, I probably got maybe 6 hours or something like that in the whole thing in the 3 pieces. So it's pretty rapid. I've been doing quite a few of these now, so I've got it mostly figured out. And I try to find forks that use disc brakes instead of like a traditional rim brake caliper, because that just kind of gives me, the cable routing goes right down the fork leg, so that just makes it super easy for me to kind of run wiring to. Where on those ones I usually end up having to like cut a section and try to run it in the fork leg and then cut a section and kind of have it spit out so it kind of has a clean look. So these save me a little bit of time and a little bit of cutting when I use the disc brake forks versus the traditional rim brake ones, as they're carbon fiber, and that makes it easy to punch holes in it versus the steel and aluminum stuff. Yes, sir.
You were talking about a switch and like a brake handle kind of thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. Like, I do kind of want to like zazz these up a little bit. Yeah, that'd be kind of neat to do. Like have like even like a pole, or like using like a brake lever. I'm trying to think maybe like an old friction shifter or something like that to kind of. Yeah, no, I like that though. Yeah, because it's like I can replicate stuff enough now. Now it's time to kind of like really like kind of escalate it and hopefully like kind of get myself a little set apart. But that's a good idea. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Keith. So next up, we have John with a mesh tustic antenna. Did I say that? Well, mostly right. I know mesh and antenna is pretty right.
Yeah, it's close enough.
All right, let me get this set up here just a little bit. All right, guys, my name's John, and I'm a ham radio operator, and one of my friends reached out and said, "Have you heard anything about Meshtastic?" And then I went down the rabbit hole. I've played with some of these devices for other reasons, but I haven't actually played with Meshtastic, and I made the mistake of talking to my neighbor who also geeks out of this kind of stuff, and before I knew it, I had a node sitting on my front porch. For those of you who aren't aware of Meshtastic, Meshtastic is an open source messaging platform that utilizes nodes. You can take you can send a node message from one node to the other node and communicate without needing any internet, without needing any service provider subscriptions or anything along that line. You can use it for off-grid communications and other fun things like that. But the cool thing is then the name is Mesh, and so the idea is that if this node had 2 or 3 other nodes in between it, and these 2 nodes were out of range. This message would go to the node, would go into those nodes, and they would share that message until it got to this device. So inherently, there's some issues, but knowing that I had all sorts of spare parts and stuff, the antennas that they come with are notoriously terrible. And so I went ahead and created a quarter wave, antenna with a grounding field. I can't remember all of the terms on it, but just to try to get something that worked a little bit better. After playing with that for a little too long and getting non-positive results, I went to a commercial option to be able to provide a little bit more oomph. And so I just took a container that we had in the kitchen, and the node hangs out in it. And you can connect to these nodes multiple different ways. You can utilize USB, you can utilize a Wi-Fi connection, or the most common, you can use your cell phone and connect to it via Bluetooth. So I'm currently connected to this node on my phone. This one is set up for my Wi-Fi. I'm not changing those settings. But you can go through and you can name them, and you can see the different signal reports on it. So I'm currently hooked up. My current node is RDT, which is the one I've got set for my truck, and this one is my base station, Radio Diver B. And I can go through and I can send it a message, and you can see it here on the screen, hopefully. And it doesn't want to work. But you can go through and send messages back and forth between the nodes. A lot of people use them for music concerts. Other places where cell phones are a little bit tough. But, that's pretty much what I got. Yes, sir.
So whenever you're sending a message from point A to point D, I assume what's happening is that the message is kind of broadcasting across the network, and eventually it goes to us. How in the world does addressing happen kind of communications like that? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I said, IP addresses.
I have no idea. It goes through its protocol. There are multiple different protocols out here. The really cool thing about this one is it doesn't require any licensing. It doesn't require any special permits. You've got a power limit, and then in the United States it operates around a 915 megahertz. It goes through and you will generate what is called like a public key, and it essentially you can choose your public key.
Oh, okay. So you're using PKI.
Yeah, and you can. So I'm just barely scratched the surface and figuring this out, but I've been having fun just making little things. The antenna took me less than an hour to make, mostly fumbling. This thing took took me longer to order it than it did for me to put it together. The kits come pre-assembled, and then you can make a node for less than $25. So they've got pre-assembled nodes that go all the way up to $100, $200. Depending on kind of what you're wanting and the envelope that you need. But I don't want to spend that kind of money. So I'm going to make my own stuff.
Did you measure the SWR on your quarterly?
I did, and it came out at a 1.3. So I had it at 1.28, and I tried to go lower, and it's now at a 1.3. So. All right, thank you guys.
Thank you, John. I think it's great that you do many things just like someone else I know does many things. That's all the shares we have. Oh, Rob, you decided to come up with one. Nice.
I liked where I told her I didn't have one, but I thought, yeah, after seeing Brian, I thought, okay, I'll share house stuff. Not my house, luckily. So my daughter and son-in-law bought a house up in New York, and it has a downstairs apartment and upstairs 2 floors, but no stairs between the 2 floors. So he got a quote for like $12,000 to put stairs in, and he said, "Can you come help me put stairs in?" And I said, "Sure." So I drew up some plans for him that says, okay, we're going to cut a hole in your living room floor. It's actually just a little bit off your living room floor. We got to cut 5 joists, and here's the building supplies that you're going to need to buy to do that. So I drove up last week, and he had already cut the drywall out to say, okay, here's what we're up against. So you can see we had some HVAC lines in here. There's a gas line right back here, but about 2 feet away from where we're cutting, so I didn't have to worry about gas, right? You can see the old homeowner had a combination of wood and aluminum. Basically, it was a scrap build is what we think it was. And so it was kind of a mess. We had to reroute some of that HVAC stuff. When we got into it, you can see the hole in this, oops, let me get back into this. You can see the hole right here. So when they built the house originally, they built the basement apartment first and lived in it for a few years and then built the house above it. And when they did that, this was the roof, and the roof had leaked and rotted there. And if you actually look carefully up above that, you can see the new floor is still good because they put the flooring right over the top of the rot instead of replacing the rot. Okay, so we ran into that. There was a joist here that was completely rotted out where that was connected. If you count the number of roofing nails that they put in their joist hangers, right? They were generous at 3 on some were just 2 roofing nails to hold the joist. Now, if you look carefully, you can see they were towed in from the back. My guess is somebody came in and said, we should put some hangers on there, and they used roofing nails. So we had to replace that, and then you can see this one had rotted the top away, so that when we looked at the joist, the first thing I say is, okay, that's got to get replaced. So we cut it back to good wood and reconnect. Luckily, good wood was in the middle of the hole. We were hoping to salvage a little bit of the 2x10s that were in there, but to cut back, we actually could cut back to fresh wood much further back. But you can see there was a lot of junk in there. And then here he is now. I didn't take a lot of pictures because I was working on it. There was a temporary wall that we built next to this on this side and on the other side that was supporting the floor up above because that was his living room. And so we had to support his floor while we cut 5 of the joists and replaced a bunch of them. And then we built it back in again. And then there's looking up the hole now to the closet. So there was, you can see the ceiling here is the stairs going to the 2nd floor. There was a closet underneath that. That closet door now is the door to the basement stairs. And so we got that part in. You can see this is all doubled up with some plywood finishing over the top of a lot of the Simpson strong tie stuff, holding this stuff together. And there's another shot looking up. So it's supported now by this beam in here plus the 3. There's a concrete floor, so we bonded into the concrete floor below. So we're definitely carrying enough load here. He was a little bit worried about that, but I said, no, we're going to be fine with that. I don't have a picture of the stairs actually in the hole, right? Because he hadn't ordered the material because he was going to pay the guy to actually do the stairs, so he didn't have to worry about the number of runs and everything. But after we did this, he said, you know what? I think I can do that even without you. So he's actually building those right now. I spent I think it was about 3 days working on this, half days. I worked it in the morning, half day remote for work. and then spent the other half building his, or cutting holes in his floor. So, any questions?
Are you, so you have those, as I can see, 4 posts holding the.
6.
6, okay, 6. Are you gonna put a skin around that?
He-
And put it on one side?
I would do that. He didn't want that. He wanted it to be very open so that when they're in the basement, it's kind of like his wife's office and the laundry's down there. He wanted it a lot more open. I personally would have boxed it all in and brought, this is like a closet area. I would have brought that into there. I mean, but it's his house. He can do what he wants with it. He was going to have open stairs with carpeting on them so that you could look through the stairs so it felt more open. Yeah. If I did tie them in, except my fear was originally, I helped support his upstairs. They didn't load correctly, and so he had spongy floors. So I was very worried, especially when I got in there and found roofing nails holding joists, that, yeah, I know if I tied them, they are tied in, but I still didn't trust it. And I said, look, so that I know you're carrying your floor upstairs correctly with no sponginess, which it had some sponginess, and now we knew why, because we had some rotted joists in there. So yes, I also could probably have gotten away with just 4, but I said 4x4s are cheap. We'll just tie it in with all 6 of them. So, any other questions? Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Rob. Is there anybody else? All right, well, let's go to announcements. There's several tonight. I want to start with kill switch sparring. Larry will gratefully meet you out there at the trailer and do some sparring with some cardboard robots. If you haven't ever done that before, I'm sure did you bring an extra?
We have
2 shot bots, so you can run your own and see what it's like to run a cardboard robot. Thursday night, we've got a new members onboarding, so if you're new, or maybe this is your first visit, but you're not quite sure if this is for you, come Thursday night, find out more about us. I know you'll love it here. Also Thursday, we have As the Lathe Turns Challenge. It's going to be a very interesting one. It's a social night for the lathe turners, and their challenge this month is to make something useless. It'd be interesting to see what wins on that one. Friday night, that's going to be exciting as we start gearing up for Halloween. We've got Monsters Made with Hate, and that's love's arch nemesis. So, yes, you will leave here with the little monster of something you despise, a person you despise, along with a pen, or something maybe you don't like about yourself that you maybe could learn to love, right? And then Saturday morning, we've got a Woodworking 101 class that is sold out, but if you were thinking of doing any woodworking projects, the shop will be off limits while that class is going. So you might as well come on over in the afternoon and join Stitch and Bitch. You know, it's only 17 more days before Halloween, and you might need to get that costume ready. So we'll be happy to help you there. And if that's not your thing, we got a spaghetti fixins going on. That's a social for 3D printing from 2 to 6. We want to temper things down a little bit, slow them down. So Sunday we're going to have a board meeting, yeah, okay. But then it's going to pick up back up on Tuesday with our monthly cookout. Yeah. So bring your appetite. That's always a good time. We also have kill switch running, and we will have a pumpkin carving going on in the classroom, and that's part of our craft night, and it's bring your own pumpkin. So if you're interested in doing that, please RSVP so they know how many tables and chairs to set up, and we'll have a great time doing some pumpkins. Let's see, and then Sunday the 26th, there's a builder's challenge for kill switch. Oh, no? Okay, so stay tuned or watch the calendar for that one. There's a special, Steve brought in some black walnuts. So if you are into dyeing or you just want to shell some walnuts, there is a large box by the door, some bags. Please help yourself. Steve said he really doesn't want to take them home. His lawnmower's tired of running over them. Please help the man out and take some walnuts home. And with that, I'm all done. If you need to have a tour, see somebody with red badge, ask us questions, and have a good time. Out to the shop you go.